All right, welcome to the Buff Show. Today we got another episode coming your way, a market update with me and Mr. Ben Larson.
Heavy on the mister.
How are you doing?
I'm 100% finally.
Are you?
I've been L'd. I've had my shoulder. I blew a hammy out.
So you've been struggling a little bit. And I just got back from a bear hunt, week long bear hunt, and I feel like my heart is still up in the mountains.
That's true. What did you call it? The vacation blues?
The vacation blues. Yeah. That was something, just sitting in the mountain 12 to 14 hours a day, being quiet. It was pretty awesome. So
I have a hard time being quiet for 5 hours.
Right. Yeah. You'd be a bad hunting partner.
Yeah, I just want to talk.
All right. Well, we are going to do a market update. This is we're going to do kind of the state of Utah and then dive into Ogden Valley and Morgan County. And there's some changes. Things are changing, right?
Yep.
We're seeing some interesting patterns here. One thing I wanted to mention, average 30-year mortgage rates have topped 7% in the recent weeks, while median existing home sales prices hit $393. I think this is for the nation. I'm not going to cover that. So I think just this is a good summary. Nevertheless, demand continues to outpace supply and properties are selling quickly, with the typical home spending 33 days on market nationwide. Keep in mind that's nationwide, down from 38 days the month before. So like nationwide, we're seeing supply increase, and demand is just kind of gobbling up whatever supply is being released.
The buyers have been on the starting line, waiting for these sellers to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And now that they finally are, it's coming to that spring hot season, stuff's getting gobbled up. People have been looking and hunting, and now there's finally opportunity for them.
Because we were kind of under the assumption that if more inventory came out, it would just kind of sit unless interest rates were to adjust, right? Like I didn't really think that it would speed up. Right? Did you?
Right. Yeah. I thought, yeah. I think,
under the same interest rates, 7+%.
I think the hard part is with this interest rate is right before we've had the feds talking about how they were going to drop. And then right at the last second, they said, no, we're not dropping.
Yeah.
And I think that then I was like, oh, great. Now we're going to sit and be stagnant. But I think a lot of people are used to that narrative and don't hardly listen to it anymore. Just want to get into a house.
Right.
Just biting that bullet.
You can only wait for so long.
Yep.
All right. I got to cover the most exciting one.
The new listings?
Yeah.
Okay, get after it.
So new listings, we're comparing April of 2023 to April of 2024. This month of April 2024, 5,429 new listings, up 22% from April of 2023. That's a significant jump.
Oh, yeah.
25% more inventory. And the definition of new listings is the count of properties that have been newly listed on the market in a given month. So we have 22.6% more listings than we did April of last year.
I mean, think about that. That's 1,000 more homes that came on the market this month than it was last year.
I mean, I know it's crazy. And I think a lot of this is because you've had sellers, so many sellers are married to that low interest rate, not willing to let it go. Mm-hmm. And I think there's sellers that are only able to wait so long before they have to sell and then buy another house with a higher interest rate. And I think what you're seeing is people are like, okay, we've been waiting. They're not really changing. Let's just get on with it, is my theory.
I think that too. And I think you're actually seeing a lot more responsibility coming out, right? Everybody's on a spending spree. I think with the inflation, how expensive everything is, a lot of people have really buckled down and saved their money and saved some cash in order to be able to make these moves.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting to that point where people have the wiggle room to get into a home they want or a different area or that change for their family.
Yeah, because they've been preparing.
So I'm going to do pending sales. So remember this whole section, we're comparing a snapshot of a month from a year ago to this year. So April of 24 to April of 23. Pending sales, we're up 3.1% with 3,675 pending sales. So we are selling them just as fast as they're coming on the market.
Which I think with the new inventory, we're not going to see the pending really bump up that much until
next month.
Until this month. So we're in May now. And I think we'll see this month will kind of tell us how much, like my guess is we're going to see pending sales really jump up. 3% isn't a lot, but that was all those pending sales were properties that were listed in February or March.
Yep.
So
exactly.
I think we'll see.
Or not pending, that you have your new inventory, then the pending follows. Yep. Everything kind of trails itself.
And then you have closed sales, which is a count of the actual closed sales in any given month. And in April of 2024, we were up 8.8%. So that's a considerable jump. 8.8 more closed sales than in 2023.
Kind of goes along with the narrative of it's that heater slowly starting up.
Yeah.
Okay, days on market until sell. So this is a big one we like to look at. I mean, during the craze, it was 15 days, and that's only because they held them off that long to get all the offers in.
Right.
We're all the way up into 54 days on market until let me give you the definition. Average number of days between a property is listed until an accepted offer is given, not a close, just until you've gone live to where you go under contract. Mm-hmm. The average days in Utah is 54. Mm-hmm. So that's actually down. We're getting under contract a little bit faster, about 5% faster, or 3 or 4 days faster.
Yeah. So what we're seeing is more listings, more pendings, and more sales with less days on market.
Less days. It's just slowly. If I'm looking at a full year on my paper, you can just see it slowly ticking down day. So I think you're going to see a big jump in the next month or two's updates.
And then what happens as all those ingredients are mixed into a bowl? Well, we get our median sales price. And I think you would all suspect that if you're having more listings, more pending, and more closed with a lower days on market, the market's heating up, it's getting more competitive, and that is thus pushing prices higher. So our median sales price rose in April of 2024 to $500,000. That is an increase of 4.2% from April of 2023.
Right. And remember, the median is you line them all up, whack them off on the end until you get to the middle.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the average where you take them all up, add them, how you did it in math in school. So April of 24, we're at $655,755. That's average sell. That's up 9.3% from last year.
9.3%.
So between those two, we've gone up quite a bit on our median or average.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably the hardest hunk of meat for someone to chew, because how many people do you hear? It's got to correct. It's got to come down. It's got to do this. I'm gonna put my 2 cents in. It's not going to. It already did a little bit, but that big 08 crash, 09 crash that everybody's licking their lips waiting for, it's just not coming. And unless something horrible happens, but it's just not. We've slowly, month after month, gone up in our median sales and our average sales prices.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. If you look at the chart on the median sales price, drawing a line all the way across, we're still not up to the peak of in like spring of 2022. Mm-hmm. So I would say the highest median sales price got was probably just under 550. So we're still a fair amount below that. And that's comparing the median. But when you look at the average, if you look at the chart, mm-hmm. This is interesting because you draw a line across and we are just barely below the height of 2022, which is interesting. That goes to show when you compare median versus average. Mm-hmm. But I guess the moral of this story is even under this high interest rate market, we are dang near up to where we were when
during the craze at 2%,
right,
3% rates. Yep.
Which is nuts. And I think we could all just imagine if they were to lower interest rates even a little bit, what that's going to do to prices.
Oh yeah. Well, and it sucks. Nobody likes to see that feeding frenzy, but that's what I tell my clients right now. If you're going to buy and you can do it now, because that's exactly what's going to happen if these rates do a significant drop.
Yeah. If they drop any, and I don't see a scenario where they really bump them up a whole lot more than where they're at now.
Right.
So that will be interesting to watch. I think one thing to note is most consumers are stuck on, well, what's my payment going to be? And right now the payments are adjusting, just like what's the average monthly rent? Like 10 years ago, it was like $500-600 a month, $700-800 a month. And now it's not uncommon to be 15 to $2,000 a month,
or 20, or a house. If you want to rent a house, you're $2,000 to $3,000, depending on the area.
I mean, I have my sister-in-law's renting a room for what we were renting like a full apartment 10 years ago.
And I'm going to touch on that. I actually have a client, and they're moving to Alabama, and they're going to rent for a year until they can get their house done and sold here and find a good place. And I was kind of helping them look at stuff, and we were just kind of chatting. And it's not a real crazy area they're going to, kind of a small rural town, and the rents are almost identical to Utah.
Really?
Yeah. And which really surprised me, it got me looking all over the nation. There's lower, but they're, for the most part, Utah isn't that crazy on its rents. It's not like it's out of control California or something like that.
Right.
We're fairly average, or maybe slightly above from the rest of the nation.
That's interesting.
So
super interesting. Percentage of original list price received. So this is percentage found when dividing the property sales price by its original list price and taking the average of all the property sold in a given month, not accounting for seller's concession. So how much did the sellers get of their asking price, their original asking price? And in April of 2024, it was 97.6%, which is up 1.1% from April of 2023. So sellers are getting more for the house. Mm-hmm. Buyers have less negotiating power.
I just want to quickly touch on that. We compare a lot back to the craze, right? To the 2021s, 2020s. Yeah. One big key difference, even though we are getting up there similar in price, we're getting up there similar in inventory and stuff. What you're not seeing is you're not seeing a whole lot of over asking offers.
Right.
There is still room for negotiation. You're making deals happen. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's funny because if you look in 2021 and 2022, that's when everything was over 100%. Like on average,
you were getting more than asking.
You were getting more than asking by 1 to
insane.
1 to 3% higher. You're like 100, 101, 102, 103% of.
I think if you were a
list.
car dealership and you had, you were getting, people were coming in offering you more than you were asking for your car.
Right.
Like, that just crazy.
It is weird. And that's pulling stats from agents. Like they're like, I think you can, this is what your house is worth. And then the market would just be like, more,
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. Okay. Housing affordability index. I've got this one. I'm not afraid. Okay. So this index takes the average household income and the median household price of a home and basically tells you how affordable it is with that income opposed to the median household cost.
Yeah, and the prevailing interest rate.
So in April of 2024, we're at a 72. So the closer to 100 we get, the more affordable. The farther away from 100, under 100 you get, the less affordable. Last year, it was at an 80. So we were more affordable last April than we are now. And I'm going to contribute that to rates.
Rates? Yeah, well, I think that's easy to look at because rates are as high as they were last year, and home prices have jumped up. Mm-hmm. And so it's just not a very affordable market right now. Inventory of homes for sale, the number of properties available for sale in active status at the end of any given month. So April of 2024, there were 9,995 homes for sale. We are up 6.8%. So more inventory, which is pretty obvious from like all the new listings that we got. So
and keep that in mind. Everyone thinks, oh, more inventory, it's a buyer's market. That just means more people are selling. We're going to see that trailing cost next month or the month after. Right. In my opinion, we're going to see that get beat out by the number of pending sales.
Yeah, and close. Yeah, for sure. And we're seeing those numbers go up too. So
okay, month supply of inventory. This is the one we always do bets on. What is it? A 6 month is what they consider a buyer's market. Yeah,
there's quite a few definitions out there, but I've always looked, if you're under 6 months supply of inventory, you're a seller's market, and over 6, you're a buyer's market.
And we haven't seen, in the last year, we haven't even seen anything over a 4 month supply of inventory. So in April of 2024, we're sitting at a 3 month supply. In April of 2023, we were sitting at a 2.9 month supply. So a small raise, about 3.4% of a month's supply of inventory. Meaning, if we stop putting houses up on the market on this current trajectory, it would take us 3 months to sell everything in Utah
Mm-hmm.
with the rates, with the buyers, with the household income.
Yeah.
Take us roughly 3 months to sell everything that was available.
Before we're out of inventory.
Yep.
Yeah. The last time we were over 6% was in 2012. Actually, we kind of touched it in 2014, and then 2015 on, we were
below.
sub 6 months supply, and we creeped up to in 2023, creeped up to almost 4, but we're back down. So not a whole lot of inventory out there, which is crazy. We are getting more, but we're definitely far from where we were in 2020 and 2020 through 2022. We were under 2 months supply of inventory.
Oh, yeah.
So just like super crappy if you were a buyer trying to get into a house that was in that feeding frenzy range. So now we're going to jump into kind of the valleys that we service a lot, Morgan County and Ogden Valley. So
kind
you
of
want
our micro markets.
Yeah.
So let's start with Morgan County. So I want to hit kind of a year to date. So let's talk like January to April, right?
Yeah.
2022 or 2023 and 2024. So let's talk new listings in just Morgan County from January to April in 23. We had 34 homes listed in that 4-month span. In 2024, we have had 72 homes listed in that 4-month span. So we've just over doubled the amount of homes listed in a Morgan County, which is huge because Morgan's such a small, there's not a lot of inventory moving out. Right. So if we double something, that's a huge swing. Pending sales went from 23 is 24. And in 24, that might sound confusing, is 46. So once again, in that 4-month span, we've doubled from last year to this year in pending sales. Same with closed sales. 18, we've more than doubled to 45 pending or closed sales. But what's interesting is the median sales price from January to April in 23 was $800,000. And the median sales price from January to April in 24 was $669,000. And at first thought, you think, okay, property values are coming down in Morgan. And I think where it's such a small, what do you say, a small
like target,
your
data that we're gathering.
Our data pool is a lot smaller in Morgan. So I think you're just seeing in that 4 months, a lot of older homes, smaller homes have sold.
Or can I give another idea?
Lay it on me.
So I think there's a lot of like more tracked production builders going into Morgan.
Sure.
And they're releasing like how many of those 72 closed sales, 45 closed sales in the past 4 months were townhomes in Morgan.
That is true.
Or like some of the Rome, like single family homes.
See, and I'm not going to say it's Rome single family, but the townhomes in Mountain Green as well as in Morgan.
Yeah.
That is a good chunk of those. But even myself a lot. I mean, there's a lot of homes just under that, at that 6 or just under that 600 mark that are for sale in Morgan that aren't the Rome or anything else like that. So,
which makes sense. That's why the median is bigger than the average. Because if you add them all up, the average is slightly less of a drop. But yeah, I think Morgan County just has a whole new spectrum of inventory that it's never seen before. And that's why some of these prices appear to be down when if you were actually to run comps on some of these individual properties, you'll be like, you're not necessarily down.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So,
and I think that you're exactly right in that new spectrum of inventory.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we would have 1, maybe 2 developments at most.
Right.
There's 5 or 6 actively going.
Right.
With phases and stuff coming in too. So a lot of more affordable housing coming to Morgan as well from what you're seeing on the dockets.
Yeah. Well, then you look at your list price received and days on market, and both of those are indicating a hotter market, you know, less percentage of original list price received, you're down or you're up 1.7%. And then days on market, you're down 30%. Homes are selling 30% faster.
75 days on market on average down to 52 days. And that's a 25 plus day, change. That's huge.
Yeah. So, and that's where you have to be careful when you look at some of these numbers. Like somebody'd look at Morgan and be like, that's terrible. Like you're down 16%. But I think it's just, you have to realize what's going on in the economy in Morgan.
When you have such a small sample like that, very little very little data points will cause big swings on these tables. So
yeah. And then anything else you want to bring on Morgan?
I Morgan is a story of itself. I think we're growing, we're evolving, and I think that's what's showing right now. Love it or hate it. So a lot of people hate it. The ones that love it are too scared to say it. So,
right.
So yeah, Morgan, I'm curious to see what Morgan does in the next 5-10 years.
Right. Okay, I'm going to do Ogden Valley. So Ogden Valley is hard because it's part of Weber County, and I have to like manually pull a lot of these numbers just with like a monthly update. So comparing April of 2023 to April of 2024, volume sold in 2023 was almost 12.5 million. Volume sold in 24 was 16 million. So more sales. Average sold price in 23 was $889. Average sold price in April 2024 was $1 million. Percentage of list price received in 2023, 95%. Percentage of list price received in 2024 was 94%. And then this is where you have to take this all with a grain of salt. Number of homes sold in 2023 in Ogden Valley was 14 and only 16 in 24. So it's not like
just April snippet for the Ogden Valley.
So it's not like we're selling a ton of properties, but you can kind of see what's going on. Like values are going up, more expensive homes are being sold, more volumes being sold. Average days on market in both 23 and 24 was 72 days on market. So kind of plateauing right there.
A lot coming to Ogden Valley too. There's a lot of turmoil and change happening on that side of the hill.
Yep. And they're still working on the incorporation of Ogden Valley, some new developments and growth, which we'll have to kind of dive into at a later time. So a lot of like positive things are happening. We're seeing a lot more supply, but we're realizing that the demand is there to all that new supply is just getting absorbed into the market. Like it's not making it more stagnant or stale.
No, I honestly think it's still healthy. We're seeing more come on, but we're also seeing more go off. You're not getting too low or too high on anything. I want to implore a futuristic guess, because it's the number one question everyone used to have, and we've all kind of just given up and stopped talking about it. When do you think rates are going to drop below 6.5% on a conventional?
Oh, geez.
We're going to get it on the record right now. What's your day?
I thought, remember when we did the end of 2023 predictions for 24, and I was thinking, I think end of 2024, we'd be like 5.5%. And like, we're far from that. But that's when the Fed was like, yeah, we're going to do all these price drop or interest rate drops.
Can't trust them.
Yeah. I don't know right now with how it's going next year, beginning of next year. I don't know. What's your thought?
I see. And I still have hope that this fall you're going to see, whether it might be artificial or not, just for whatever political reason or whatnot, you're going to see it get below 6.5. Now, do I think come January, February, it'll tick right back up? I do. But I think there's going to be a window of opportunity. And if you're not pressed to get in, we talk about don't try to time the market, but people that are in high interest rates that got in at 7, 8 or bad credit, watch toward the end of this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, it's just going to, even if you get a cheaper interest rate, you're going to pay for it on the sales price.
I think right now we're just rolling dice. We're just gambling.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, but so far, if you're a seller, market's staying strong, prices are holding out for you. If you're a buyer, I've actually seen some buyers get some pretty good deals recently, just because there are some impatient sellers where, what's the average days on market again for the state?
For the state was like 54 days or something.
Yeah. If 54 days, 50 plus days on market feels like a lot, you're able to get some decent deals out there.
And that's on market. So you sellers out there, pay attention. That's 54 days on market. And most sellers take that and go, okay, if I'm going to sell my house, I'll have my money in 54 days. That's 54 days before you start the transaction.
Yeah.
And, a 30-day escrow right now is awesome.
Right.
You're 30 to 45 to sometimes even 60
days. Yeah.
Because your buy sells, contingent offers, a lot of that going on. So
yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. So overall, good, healthy market. We're seeing a lot of good things. I'm mostly excited about all this new inventory. a lot of opportunity out there for buyers. And if you're a seller, things are still moving. So we're in a healthy spot.
And what sucks about that is being in a healthy spot's not exciting.
No,
there's no big money deals up or down. I mean,
well, I think we can all appreciate some stability right now in this crazy, in the crazy, world of real estate we've had over the past few years. So it's looking good. If you guys have any other questions, reach out to us. We'd love to help you out.
Deuces.